And recently, and now I find there's such a lot of stuff that actually music being which is wonderful, wonderful. But slow produces
just this those puces, just so much. I mean, it could be no one else. And I must say it. So if I had money to buy something like that, I would buy it. Oh yes, yes, and look at the competition. Yes, it is. Then of course, we did the Uber out of that. To the washing machine.
Yeah, when I left this afternoon,
I have 6, 7 books.
and it's just rained this morning. What did that hit now? And that comma? And that comma? It's 20 this morning. You
No, I'm with the guy that owns this.
Windy.
Right, that's loud. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very, very warm welcome to the evening session of our Winter 17 auction. This auction is governed by the terms and conditions as printed in the back of our catalogue and displayed up in the front of the room. So it's just some housekeeping I'm told I have to do. Anyway, very warm welcome, lovely to see you all here tonight. And let's begin with lot 101, which is the Jay's 20th. The lovely bushveld scene on the screens to my left, but also the painting is on the wall there behind me to my left. An important early example of his more painterly landscapes, this one, and anticipates probably the more idealized Transvaal views that came after this. A lovely little work this, from 1925, and I'm going to open the bidding here at 120,000, 120. At 130,000, at 130,000, at 130 any more than at 100, 140,000, at 140,000 rand, then straight ahead of me at 140,000 rand. One looking for 150, please. 150 on the telephone with Emma. It's against you at the back. On the telephone then at 150. MJ, would you like 160? No? On the telephone then against you, sir, at 150,000 rand, 160,000 rand. At 160,000 rand and straight ahead of me selling at 160,000 rand, all done for the lovely little pen efforts. Your bid, sir, at 160,000 rand. Number 43. Right, lot 102 is the Hugo Naudé, the Namaqualand in spring. It's on the wall there just above Alex. The Mackerland Spring is the title, and 100,000 rand is bid at 100,000 rand, at 110,000 rand, at 110,000 rand. Then any more at 110,000 rand? All done for the Little Nadir at 110,000 rand. No more then at 110. All done. Last call at 110,000 rand. No more for the Namaqualand Spring at 110,000 rand. Thank you. 52. Lot 103. Again, Hugo Nadir. This is a beautiful view of Hermanus. It's on the wall there to my right. Lovely view of Hermanus. And I'm going to open the bidding here at 85,000, 85,000, 90,000, 95,000, at 95,000 then, at 95,000. Any more for the Nadir Hermanus at 95,000 rand? Sorry, 100,000 rand. On the telephone then with Emma at 100,000 rand. Any more for the lovely little Hugo Nadir at 100,000 rand. Selling then to my left at 100,000 rand. All done at 100,000 rand. 257.
Thank you so much.
Lot number 104. J.H. PNF, a farm landscape and early work from 1923. And 80,000 is bid at 80,000. 85,000 then at 90,000. At 95,000 then. 100 man, 100,000 rand. Straight ahead of me then at 100,000 rand. All done for the lovely farm landscape at 100,000 rand. Selling then straight ahead at 100,000 rand. No telephones at 100,000 rand. That's your bid then, ma'am, at 100,000 rand. All done for the PNF at 100,000. Number 20. Lot 105 is our lovely Bertha Everett, the yellow fields and clouds, yellow fields with clouds and shadows again on the wall to my right above Alex. 45,000 rand is bid at 45,000 rand. 50,000 rand then. 55,000 is bid at 55,000 rand. Any more than 60,000? 65 against you. 70,000, 75 against you. 80,000, 85 against you. 90 is your bid. Lady seated straight ahead to my left. All done then in the room. That's a new bid, sir, at 95,000. Would you like 100? 100,000, 110,000, 120,000, 130,000, 140,000, 150. 160, 170, 180,000, 190,000, 200,000. Ladies bid then against you at the back at 200,000 rand. All done then, center left at 200,000. I'm looking for 220, please. 220, James. 220 on the telephone. On the telephone with James then at 220. MJ, you're done. James's bid then against you, ma'am. One more. One more. No. On the telephone then, selling with James against you, all seated at 220,000 rand. All done for the lovely Bertha at 220,000 rand. Last call, fair warning, at 220,000 rand. 217. Lot 106, the Rosamond Everett Steenkamp, just beneath the Bertha on the wall to my right, called Fugue in Color. Painting because my favorite Eastern Transvaal landscape, and was probably inspired by her own aviation adventures. I'm going to open the bidding here at 60,000 rand. 60,000 is bid At 60, 65,000, 70,000 then. At 70,000, at 75,000 then. At 75,000 rand. Any more for the Rosamond? Apologies. At 75,000 rand. 75. May I have 80?
I'm not clear.
80,000 with Mary Jane. On the telephone then with Mary Jane at 80,000. Marlies, would you like 85?
I think so.
85,000 against you, MJ.
Got 106.
Yeah.
So it's 85 against us. Do you want to bid?
I will.
90,000 with Mary Jane.
And I will get back to you tomorrow. if That's all right.
95,000.
In the auction now.
100, please.
Okay. Okay, I'm calling back.
100,000 Mary Jane's bid. Yeah. 100,000. 120,000. 130,000. 140,000. 150 next, please. 150. 160. 170,000. 180,000.
180. Did you want to go for 190?
190.
Against 200?
1,000. Next bid, 220, please.
Do you want to go for 220?
220,000.
Against us, 240.
240,000. Next bid, 260. Yeah. 260. 260,000. At 260,000 rand then, anyone in the room would like to bid now? 280,000. Against you. Next bid, 300, please. 300,000. 320,000. 320 against you. You may have 340. 340,000. 360,000. Next bid, 380, please. 380, please, yeah. No. Shaman, you came all this way. Thank you. 360,000 in the room, straight ahead, lady seated, selling then against you all. It's your bid, ma'am, at 360,000. Number 46. Lot 107. The first of our two lovely Leonora Everett Haydens, called Malalotia 1. It is in fact just over there, down that side. And 50,000 is bid. 50,000 rand is bid. 55,000 rand. 60, 65,000. Then at 65,000 rand. Any more than at 65,000 rand. Selling then at 65. All done for the lovely Leonora at 65,000 rand. No more than at 65,000 rand. Selling. Full at 65,000 rand. All done for the Leonora Everett Hayden at 65. Thank you. That's number 226. And then Leonora Everett Hayden Malalotia number 2. Again, 50,000 is bid. At 50, 55,000 is bid then. At 55,000 rand, 60, 65 against you. At 65, then commission bidder at 65. Any more than for Leonora at 65? All done, then selling at 65,000 rand. All done at 65. Thank you. That's number 226. Lot 109 is the large Huguenot entitled Snow-Capped Mountains in Worcester, and 38,000 is bid. At 38,000, at 40,000, then 45,000. At 45,000 rand, any more Snow-Capped Mountains? 50,000 rand. To my far right then, at 50,000 rand, any more then? At 50,000 rand, Selling then to my right, your bid, ma'am, at 50,000 Rand. All done for the Hugo Nadir at 50,000 Rand. Number 24. Lot 110 is our Jean Veltz, the lovely still life with lemons. A unique still life, this representative probably of his more painterly poems approach, and full of texture and varied light. To my right, I believe. And I'm going to open the bidding here at 180,000 Rand. 180,000 Rand. Any more at once? Ooh, yamas. 180 then, 190,000. 200,000 against you at 220,000. At 220,000 Rand. Any more then for the Veltz at 220,000 Rand? Any more? No telephones? All done then at 220,000 Rand. No more for the lovely Jean at 220,000 Rand. All done then at 220. Thank you. 104. Lot 111. The lovely Anton van Gogh Bushman. The figure to my left over here, the Bushman Hunter. A unique and exquisitely crafted and detailed bronze. This one produced by the Massa Foundry in Rome. Excuse me. Sorry, I was saying this is a lovely Roman cast. It's from the Massa Foundry. And I'm going to open the bidding here at 380,000 Rand. At 380,000, at 400,000, at 400,000, then 420,000. At 420,000 Rand. Any more then at 420? At 420, 450,000. To my right then at 450,000 Rand. Any more for the lovely Bushman Hunter at 450,000? Please. At 480 on the telephone. 500,000. 20. 520,000. 550,000. 580. 580,000. Next bid 620. 620,000. One more. 650,000. 680 is your next bid. No, gentleman's bid, then see, I told you. 650,000 to my right, gentleman seated, that's against you on the telephone, selling to last call then at 650,000 Rand. All done for the Hunter at 650. Thank you, sir. Your number, please. 650,000 by 10. Thank you. Lot 112 is the exquisite Gregoire on the wall directly to my right. It's a street scene from Cornwall, a great example of a painting from this artist's time in St. Ives in Cornwall, and it's a typical street scene, but experiments with the angles and shades of color of that time. Very nice painting. We're very chuffed to have this. And I'm going to open the bidding here at 150,000 Rand. At 150, 150, 160, 170,000 Rand. At 170,000 Rand then. Any more for the Gregoire at 170,000 Rand? Any more at 170? Leila, would you like 180? 180 then, on the telephone, against you at the back at 180. No. Okay, 170,000 it is then. At 170,000 Rand. Any more than for the Gregoire? Selling them at 170,000 Rand. All done at 170,000 Rand. Thank you. Number 12.
Yeah, we're going on to yours now. Okay. You just do that so in case we don't have to.
Lot 113 is the Gregoire Buenza, the Oase Vermont, on the wall again to my right. painted from a view where he lived in Onrus on the south coast of the Western Cape. And 180 is bid. 190,000 then. At 190, 200,000. 220,000. At 220,000. At 220,000, any more then for the Vermont scene at 220,000 rand? Can I have 250? Okay, wow, I'll take 240. At 220,000 rand then. All done at 220,000 rand. Thank you, 88. Lot 114, the exquisite and wonderful, straight ahead of me is the Eduardo Villa African Mask number 4, cast from 1964. Directly behind me, okay, as you can tell, there's some interest in this lot. Going to open then lot 114, Eduardo Villa African Mask number 4, directly behind all of you. 1,000 rand is bid. At 180, at 190,000 rand, 190,000, 200,000, 220,000. At 220,000 rand then. Any more for the mask at 220,000 rand? Any more at 220,000? Emma, may I have 250,000? Okay, you can have 250. Thank you. On the telephone with Emma at 250, Leila, 280? 280,000 rand. Okay, 300 with Raf. I have 320. 320 with Leila. Next bid, 350, please. 350 with Raf. Looking for 380, please. 380,000. Next bid, 400. 400 with James. 400 with James. Next bid, 420, please. 420,000. 450,000. On the telephone with James at 450, I'm looking for 480, please. James' bid still then at 450,000 rand. Leila, you out? At 450,000 rand. Any more than 480,000. 500,000. I have 500,000 to my right. Next. 550,000. 600,000. 650,000. 700,000. To my right then at 700. Against you all on the telephones.
Sorry, I haven't been able to get through. I'll try and look at the numbers.
I have 700, 750 is yours.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, it's MJ. We're on lot 114 at 6.
700, your bid is 750.
It's 700, the room's against us at 700, the wedding's bid is 750.
750 is your bid. 800,000.
Yes, I can hear you. It's 800 against us. Do you want to bid? 850. Okay.
850,000. 850 on the telephone with Mary Jane, selling against you in the room, and do so at 850. Mary Jane's bid then at 850,000 rand. Last call, fair warning at 850,000 rand. On the telephone with Mary Jane at 850. 210. Lot 115. This is the first of our collection of works from the wonderful Feldman, an important Feldman. As you surely know, the Feldmans were close friends and patrons of Irma Stern. And this particular work is regarded as one of the artist's best pieces from the period spent on the islands. To handle this painting, it's on the wall to my right. And 500,000 rand is bid. At 500,000 rand, at 550,000 rand, 550 now, 600,000 rand, at 600,000 rand. Any more than at 600,000 rand? All done for the Stern Madeira scene at 650,000 rand. No more than at 650. Telephone on this? No, at 600,000 rand. Then any more for the lovely Stern Madeira scene at 600,000 rand. All done then at 600,000 rand. No more at 600,000. All done at 600. No more at 600,000. Number 12. But 116, another lovely work from the Feldman collection. This one, The Woman with Orange. It's a small painting to my right from 1930, the gouache and pencil crayon. And 120,000 is bid at 120,000 rand, 130,000 rand, at 140,000 rand, at 140,000 rand, 150,000 rand, at 150,000 rand, and straight ahead at 150,000 rand. Any more in the room at 150,000 rand? 60,000, 170,000. 180,000. At 180 with Mary Jane, Emma, would you like 190? 190,000. On the telephone with Emma at 190,000 rand, selling then under 200,000 rand in the room. Painting at 220,000, at 220,000 rand, selling on the telephone at 220,000 rand. 225. Lot 117, another Feldman work. This one, Irma Stern, called Figure in Profile from 1938. Excuse me. And 180,000 rand is bid. At 180,000 rand, 190,000 rand. At 190,000, 200,000 rand. At 200,000 rand, then 220,000 rand, 240,000 rand. At 240,000 rand, any more then for the Figure in Profile at 240,000 rand? All done at 240,000? No more than at 240,000 rand. All done at 240,000 rand. Thank you, 153. Lot 118 is the Gerard Sekoto. It's on the wall directly behind me. Lovely Gerard Sekoto, the Senegalese street scene from 1968. And 100,000 is bid. 100,000 rand. At 100,000, 110,000 rand, 120 against you. At 120,000 rand. Any more than for the Sekoto at 130,000 rand. At 130,000 rand, and in the room straight ahead at 130,000 rand. Any more? 140?
Sure.
No, straight ahead.
Yes, I think so.
140, sorry, you thought you were against 140 against you, so would you like 150? No. So on the telephone then at 140,000 rand against you seated, on the telephone at 140,000 rand, all done for the support at 140,000 rand. Thank you. Are you 225? 225. Lot 119. The final of the lovely Feldman works on the wall there to my right. This one, Mother and Child, a very rare and unique fiberglass relief work that is going to be featured in a book which is being published at the end of this year by Sandra Klopper. And 50,000 is bid. At 50,000, at 55,000 rand, 55, 60,000 rand, at 60,000 and 65,000, 70,000 then, at 70,000, at 75,000, at 75,000 rand. Any more for the lovely relief at 75,000 rand? 75, Mary Jane, 80,000. On the telephone to my left with Mary Jane at 80,000 rand against you all seated at 80,000 rand. No more than at 80,000 rand. Selling on the telephone against you seated at 80,000 rand. All done then at 80,000 rand. No more for the lovely relief at 80,000 rand. Thank you, number 267. Lot 120 is a stone also from Madeira, one of her favorite places in the world. This one from 1951. Again, it's on the wall behind me. And 200,000 rand is bid. At 200,000, 220,000 rand. At 220,000 rand. Any more at 220,000, 240,000. At 240,000 rand then. Any more for the Madeira scene at 240,000 rand. All done at 240, no more than at 240,000 rand. All done for the Madeira at 240,000 rand. No more at 240. Thank you, 52. Lot 121. This is the Peter Clark entitled Figures on a Path in Tesla style. Fantastic painting this. From 1960 on the wall behind me over there. The work dates from just before Clark worked briefly at the Michaelis School of Art in 1961. It's a lovely, bold and positive rural scene painted in the Cape Overberg. And I'm going to open the bidding here at 250,000. 250,000 is bid. At 280,000. At 280,000 rand. Any more than 300,000 rand. Straight ahead to my left at 300,000 rand. And any more for the lovely little Clark at 320,000 rand. New bidder. 350, ma'am. 350,000 rand. 380,000 rand. 400,000 rand. 420,000. At 420,000, it's to my far left. At 420, that's not a bid, sir. Looked a bit like it. 420,000 rand to my far left. I'm looking for 450, please. 450 is Emma's bid. 480,000 against you, Emma. 500,000. Could do 520? 520,000. 550 is your next bid. 550,000. One more. 580,000. 600,000. At 600,000 rand, ma'am, at 600. It's very nice. On the telephone, then it's Marilisa's bid at 600. That's against you seated and against you on the edge. Selling it then on the telephone against you all at 600,000 rand. All done for the lovely little Peter Clark at 600,000 rand. You're done at 600,000. Selling then with Marilise at 600. One, thank you. Lot 122. Maggie Loubser landscape with huts, tree, figure, cow, and a bird. It's a quintessentially Loubser painting this, and a great example of the Free State scene that saw her broaden her view from the Cape landscapes It's been a great pleasure having this painting, which is on the wall behind me. It is one of the best examples that have come onto the market recently, and we've been extremely pleased to handle it. I'm going to open the bidding here at 750,000 rand. 700, 750, 800,000, 850,000, 900,000. At 900,000 rand. To my left then at 900,000 rand. Any more then for the lovely Maggie Loubser at 900,000 rand? All done then at 900,000. Not bidding at 900. All done then at 900,000 rand. No more for the Maggie at 900,000 rand. All done at 900,000 rand. No more then at 900,000. Thank you. Number 12. Excuse me. Walter Basis, lot number 123. It's the large Walter Basis on the wall to my left. It's untitled. A late period work this and probably painted during one of his frequent visits to the United States and later repatriated to South Africa. 300,000 rand. 300,000 is bid at 320,000 rand. 320, 350,000 rand. At 350,000 rand. Any more at 380,000. May I have 400, sir? 400,000 rand. To my right then at 400,000 rand. Gentlemen seated at 400,000 rand, selling then at 400. No more for the Batis at 400,000 rand. It's against you to my right at 400,000. That's your bid, sir, at 400,000 rand. Selling then to my right, against you on my left at 400,000 rand. All done at 400,000. Thank you. Number 15. Lot 124 is the large Sam Shengetwa, the retrospect one diptych. It's on the wall behind everybody. And 140,000 rand is bid. At 140, 150 now. At 150,000, 160,000, 170 then, 180,000. At 180,000 rand then. Any more? Selling them straight ahead of me at 180,000 rand. All done for the fabulous large diptych at 180,000 rand. All done then at 180,000 rand. No more at 180,000 rand. Last call. Your bid, sir, at 180. 196. Lot 125 is the Robert Hodgins directly behind me to my left. It's a work untitled from 1988, which is an early work by Hodgins standards, opening at 120,000 rand, 120, 130,000 rand, at 130,000 rand. Any more? 140, thank you. At 140,000 rand. Any more for the early Hodgins at 140,000 rand. All done then at 140,000 rand. No more at 140,000 rand. All done at 140,000 rand. All done at 140,000 rand. Thank you. 104. Lot 100 and... Lot 126. It's the large abstract by Walter Batis down the corridor to my left. Oil on canvas, large work this, and I'm going to open the bidding here at 300,000. 300,000 is bid at 300, 320,000, 350 then. At 350,000 rand. At 350,000. Any more at 350? 380,000 rand. At 380,000 rand. Sorry, at 380,000, may I have 400? 100,000? 400,000. On the telephone then with Mary Jane at 400,000 rand. Any more for the Batis at 400,000 rand? All done selling then on the telephone against you all at 400,000 rand. Last call for the Batis abstract at 400,000 rand. Your bid at 400,000 rand. No more then at 400,000. 259. Lot 127 is the very early Norman Catherine work entitled Snare. It's the sculpture standing in the cavity over there to my left, on your right. An important early work, this, and I'll open the bidding at 55,000 rand. At 55, 60,000, 65 against you. I have 70, sir, but you may have 75.
Hello, can you hear me?
At 70 then, 75,000. New bidder, it's against you then at 75,000. Any more for Snare at 75,000? Looking for 80, James?
75, do I have 80?
80,000 rand. 85,000 rand.
85,000. I have 90.
No, 85,000 rand. Ladies' bird seated to my left, selling then at 85,000 rand. All done for the lovely Snare, early Norman Catherine at 85,000 rand. Selling on my left at 85,000 rand. 90,000 rand. Gentleman's bid. It's against you, ma'am, at 90. 95,000.
It's in 4 lots.
No, you sure? Selling then, last call, fair warning, ladies bid at 95. It's against you, sir. It's your bid, ma'am, at 95,000 rand. Selling then at 95. Thank you. Your number, please, ma'am. 49, 45, sorry. Thank you. Lot 128 is the Eduardo Villa entitled Diagonal Forms, the 1970 work that was the maquette for a sculpture that was placed outside the Jan Smuts Airport. A lovely rare work, this, and 280,000 rand is bid. At 280,000 rand. At 300,000 rand. 300,000 at 320,000 rand then. And 20,000 rand. 320,000 rand. All done at 320,000 rand. 350,000 rand. To my right then, selling at 350,000 rand. All done. Your bid, sir, at 350 rand. I wish. I mean, you wish. 350,000 rand. Apologies. Selling then to my right. No more at 350,000. Thank you. Was that number 10? By number 10. Lot 129. To my left. The wonderful work by Louis Makubela, entitled Flight from 1967. I've been practicing that one. A lovely work after the phenomenal success we achieved in our previous sale with an important similar era work. It's been a great pleasure to handle these, and I'm going to open the bidding here at 50,000 rand. 50,000 is bid. 55,000 rand is bid. At 55,000, 60,000 rand. At 60,000 rand. Any more then? At 60,000 rand. All then 65,000 rand. At 65,000 rand. And selling at 65,000 rand. No more. At 65,000 rand. Straight ahead, gentleman's bid. Then selling directly ahead of me at 65,000 rand. All done for the lovely Louis Makubela. The first one is better. At 65,000 rand. I'll keep practicing for the next one. Selling then at 65,000. No more. Thank you, sir. Where's your number? Apologies, 148. 148. 65,000. 148. Right, lot 130. Our first, Dumile Fernie. To my right. It's entitled The Couple, a work from 1984. And 75,000 rand is bid. At 75,000, 80,000 rand. At 80,000, 85,000 rand. At 85,000 rand, 90,000. At 90,000, 95,000 rand. At 95,000 rand then. Any more then? At 95,000 rand. All done for Dumile at 95,000 rand. No more. At 95,000 rand. All done at 1,000 rand. No more at 95,000 rand. Thank you. Number 185. Lot 131 now is the Lippy Lipschitz, the wood-carved sculpture entitled the Golem. It's again directly behind you in the cavity of the window. And I'm going to open the bid here at 28,000 Rand, 28,000 Rand, 30,000. I have 32, 35, at 35,000 Rand then. At 35,000 Rand, any more for the Lippy? At 35,000 Rand, bids in the room at 35,000 Rand. I have 38, gentlemen. 8,000 on the telephone with James. 40,000 Rand. Looking for 42, please. Looking for 42. 42,000. 45,000 in the room against you both. Looking for 48. 48,000 with Raf. 50,000 in the room against you both. Next bid, 55, please. 55,000 with Raf. 60,000 in the room against you. 65,000. On the phone with Raf at 65,000 Rand. James looking for 70. No. Raf's bid then at 65,000 Rand, selling on the telephone with Raphael, 70,000 new bidder. 75,000 new bidder. Your bid is 80. 80,000. 85,000. Your bid is 90. 90,000. 95,000. No. Back of the room then, your bid ma'am at 95,000 Rand, selling then far back seated at 95,000 Rand, all done for the lovely Lippy Lipschitz at 95,000. Thank you ma'am, it's your bid 268. On to lot number 132. It's the exquisite and large Cecil Scotland's on the wall behind you all, entitled Sharka. And 250,000 Rand is bid. 250,000 Rand at 250, 280, 300,000 Rand. To my left then at 300,000, against you on the right at 300,000 Rand. Then straight ahead of me at 300,000 Rand. Any more for the Sharka at 300? Sorry, my apologies. 320,000 Rand. 350,000, 380,000. Far back right then at 380,000, that's your bid, sir, at 380. Looking for 400, please. No. 380,000 and then far right, that's against you, sir, at 380. Selling then to my right, again, 400,000. No. Straight ahead then, your bid, sir, at 400,000 Rand. Selling straight ahead of me at 400,000 Rand, against you to my right and against you on the telephone. Straight ahead of me, your bid, sir, at 400,000 Rand. No more for the Scottish Sharka at 400,000. Thank you. Number 49. Lot 33. Eduardo Villa, homage to Isaac Whitkin. Again, directly behind all of you in the window cavity, a wonderful steel sculpture, one of the best steel sculptures, in fact, from 1989. 150,000 Rand, 150, 150, 160,000 Rand, 170,000 Rand. At 170,000 Rand, Any more for the villa at 170,000? No more at 170,000. All done then at 170, 180, 190 against you. At 190 then. Any more at 190,000? For the villa at 190,000 rand. No more then at 190,000 rand. Last call at 190,000 rand. 108. On to lot 134. A very significant work this, directly behind me by Dumile Feni, entitled Children Under Apartheid. This is a benchmark work by one of the most important seen on the secondary market by this brilliant and rather unrepresented artist who was forced into exile in the apartheid era. This work hung for many years in the United Nations building and was recently repatriated to South Africa. I'm going to open the bidding here at 650,000 rand. At 650,000, 650, 700, 750,000 rand. At 750,000 rand then. Any more for the Dumile at 750,000 rand? Looking for 750. Looking for 800 rand. 800,000 rand on the telephone. On the telephone with Raf then against you all seated at 800,000 rand. Any more for the Dumile at 800,000 rand. All done. Selling then to my left, 850,000 rand. $900,000 rand. To my left then at 900,000 rand. To my left then on the telephone at 900,000, 950, 950,000 rand. $1 million rand. $1.1. $1.105. I'm going to bring a calculator next time I have to do that. Okay, 1.105. No, 1.05. Your next bid would be 1.1. 1.1. Same again. 1.15. 1.15? No. Okay, sorry, can I take it back to you at 1.1? Okay, selling then on the telephone against you seated at 1.1 million rand. All done for the important Dumile at 1.1 million. Last call for the Dumile Feni at 1.1 million rand. No more. Last call, sir. Done. On the telephone then at 1.1. Thank you. And it's 239 here, right?
Yeah.
About 135. On the wall to my right is the lovely Cecil Scottness entitled The Wake, which suits the Shaka quite well thematically, continues on from the theme, and I'm going to open the bidding here at 180,000 rand. At 180,000 rand. 90,000 rand. 200 against you. 220,000 rand. At 220,000 rand. 240,000. At 240,000 rand. Any more then for the Wake? At 240,000 rand. Sorry, Marlies. I have 240, you may have 260. 260,000. On the telephone then with my colleague Marlies at 260,000 rand. Selling then against you seated at 260. Any more then? All done for the Scottness Wake at 260,000 rand. All done then, last call, fair warning at 260,000 rand. The bid is on my left on the telephones against you seated at 260,000 rand. 250. Lot number 136 is the David Brown, The Couple, a pair of works which are on the wall to my left, early from 1976. And I'm going to open the bidding at 55,000 rand. 55,000 is bid, 60,000 rand. At 60,000, 65,000 rand. At 65, 70,000 rand. At 70,000, then 75,000 rand. At 75,000 rand, pair of door panels by David Brown. 75, Emma. 80,000. On the telephone with my colleague at 80,000 rand. And any more for the David Browns at 80,000 rand. Selling then to my left at 80,000 rand. All done at 80,000 rand. No more at 80,000 rand. It's Emma's bid at 80,000. 241.
We're going to be in touch with you.
Lot 137, the Ephraim Ngitani on the wall there to my left. A superb work that represents as artist move into oils. And I'm going to open this bid here at 280,000 rand. 280,000 is bid. At 280, at 300,000 rand. At 300,000 rand, and 320,000 rand. At 320,000 rand. Any more then for the Ngitani at 320,000 rand? All done, no more at 320,000 rand. At 320,000 rand. All done then at 320,000 rand. No more for the lovely Ngitani at 320,000 rand. Last call at 320. Number 94. Lot 138 is our first George Pemba. Two works on the wall to my left. Lovely work, this from 1974, entitled On the Bus. Opening the bidding here at 220,000. 220,000 rand is bid. At 220,000. 250,000. At 250,000 rand then. At 250,000 rand. Any more then for the Pemba at 250,000? Sorry, I have 280 in the room, MJ. Apologies. You may have 3.
So you want to put 300? Yes? Yes.
I have 300 on the telephone.
300.
320. I could hear that from here. That was quite a lot of conviction there. So it's your bid, sir, at 320,000 rand. Far left on the aisle at 320,000 rand. That's against the telephone. Gentlemen seated at 320,000 rand. All done for the lovely George Pemba at 320,000 rand. No more at 320. Number 44. Sorry, that is not the work that you will be bidding on. It is that work on the wall at the top there. Sorry, there's a small technical glitch, which we will take up with the techie department. But you are bidding on the George Pemba work entitled In the Kitchen. It's the smaller painting above that one. And it's from 1975, a work entitled In the Kitchen. It's the scene there on the wall of the figure with the bucket. And I'm going to open the bidding here at 80,000 rand. 80,000 is bid. 85,000 rand is bid. 5 at 90,000 rand. Then 100,000 at 110,000 at 120,000 at 130,000 rand. At 130,000 rand then. Any more for the lovely Pemba at 130, 140,000 rand. Straight ahead of me at 140,000 rand. Any more then for the Pemba in the bus at 140, 150,000, 160,000, 170,000. At 170,000 rand on the telephone then with Mary Jane at 170,000 against you seated, against you all in the room. Selling then at 170,000 rand. All done for the Pemba. Last call at 170,000 rand. No more at 170,000 rand. 208. Lot 140. Eduardo Villa, the study for the large steelwork at the back of the room from 1978. 180,000 at 180 at 190,000, 190, 200,000 at 200,000 and 220,000 at 220,000 rand then. Any more for the villa at 220,000 rand? The study for the last to arrive at 220,000 rand, no more. All done then at 220,000 rand. No more then, no telephones. All done then at 220,000 rand. Last call for the villa at 220,000 rand. Thank you. Number 52. But 141, the Gregoire Boonzaier, The Stormy Skies in the Cape, painting from 1961. 80,000 rand? At 80,000, 80,000 is bid. 85,000, 90,000 rand. At 90,000 and 95,000 rand. At 95, 100,000 rand. At 100,000 rand then. Any more? At 100,000 rand. All done for the Gregoire Boonzaier at 100,000 rand, no more. At 100,000 rand. All done then at 100,000 rand. Last call at 100,000. Thank you. Number 12. Lot 142. The lovely and large penny Theopis on the wall to my right. An early work painted while she was in Grahamstown. From 1976, this painting is entitled Window. It is on the wall to my right, beside the television screen. And 75,000 rand is bid. 75,000 rand. Any more at 75? 80,000 rand. At 80,000, 85,000. 90,000. My apologies, sir. I have 95. Can I give you 100? 100,000 rand. Gentleman standing to my right at 100,000 rand. Any more for the lovely penny Theopis at 100,000 rand? Who would like 110? Emma would like 110. 120,000 rand. 130. 140, sir. 140 against you. Looking for 150. 150 with James. 160,000. Looking for 170. 170,000. 190,000. 200,000. 220,000. On the 210,000. So would you like 211? 200. Can we make it 215? 210,000 on the phone with James. Selling then on the telephone against you all seated. All done for the penny at 210,000. You sure I can't twist your arm? At 210,000. Selling then with James at 210,000 rand. All done for the early penny Theopis at 210,000 rand. James's bid at 210. 217. About 143 is the Maud Sumner. Please note there's a sale room notice on this work. The title should in fact read Still Life with African Pot, Apples and Silver Trees. We're not quite sure what eucalyptus leaves look like in our offices. Lovely oil painting this, and 85,000 rand is bid. At 85,000 rand, 85, 90,000 rand. At 90,000 and 95,000 rand. At 95,000 rand. No more at 95,000 rand. All done for the Maud Sumner at 95,000 rand. At 95,000. Thank you. Number 52. About 144, the Erman Henkel, still life with magnolias, bottles, and glasses. Painting from 1977, this. And 80,000 rand is bid. At 80,000 rand. at 85,000 rand, at 90,000 rand then, at 90,000, at 95,000 rand. 95,000 rand. Any more for the Henkel at 95, 100 ma'am? At 95 then still, at 95,000 rand against you at the back, at 95,000 rand, all done for the Erman Henkel, at 95,000 rand, no more, last call, at 95,000. Thank you, number 12. Thank you, lot 100. Lot 145. Lovely Maud Sumner, this one, the interior with still life. An early painting property as it was framed by her, as she used to do, in the artist's own handmade frame. I'm going to open the bidding here at 85,000. 85 is bid. At 85, 90,000 then. At 95,000. At 95,000 then. I have 100. At 100, at 95,000. At 95,000 still. Any more than at 95,000 rand. All done for the Maud Sumner at 95,000 rand. No more than at 95,000 rand. All done for the early Maud Sumner still life at 95,000 rand. Thank you, 191. Lot 146. The lovely Walter Batters still life. This one, it's on the wall there to my right above the larger Batters with eggs and vessel, and 150,000 rand is bid. At 150,000, 160,000 rand. At 160, 170,000 rand. 180,000 rand. At 190,000 rand then. At 190,000 rand. No more than at 190,000 rand. All done for the Batters at 190,000 rand. No more at 190,000 rand. All done. Last call at 190,000. Twist your arm, man. No. It's very nice. No. At 190,000 rand. No more than for the Walter Batters at 190. Thank you, number 153. Lot 147. Eric Lopesher. Abstract vases, the oil painting that's on the entrance it's on the wall as you enter into the space. 90,000 rand. 90,000 is bid. 95,000. 100,000. At 100. 110,000. At 110,000 rand then. Any more for this? 120,000 rand. At 120,000 rand then. Selling to my right at 120,000. Any more for the Eric Lopes still left at 120,000 rand? It's your bid, sir. At 120,000. Selling them all done at 120. No more at 120,000 rand. All done. Fair warning at 120. 279. Lot 148 is the Eduardo Villa. The figure right here next to me. My friend standing next to me, Eduardo Villa, the standing figural form from 1973. And 50,000 is bid, 55,000. At 55,000 rand. Any more at 55,000 rand? At 55,000 rand. Any more for the Villa at 55,000 rand? 60? I have 60 with Layla, looking for 65. 65, my release. Layla, would you like 70? 70. 70 is my releases, looking for 75. 75. Layla, 80. 80,000. 85,000. 90,000. 95,000. 100,000. 110 is your next bid, please. 110,000. 120, Leila, yes, please. 120,000. 130,000. 40, tens, 140,000. 150,000. 160,000. 170,000. 180,000. 190,000. 200, Leila? 200,000. 220 would be ideal, please. I'll accept 210. It's going to be a slightly later night than expected, ladies and gentlemen. 210. Are you not bidding at 210? Good then. At 200,000. On the telephone with Leila, anyone at 220,000 against you. Next bid 240, please. So it's in the room, 240,000. On the telephone then at 240,000 Rand with my colleague Leila selling against you seated sir and against you telephones. It's your bid at 240,000 Rand. Last call for the lovely villa standing figure at 240,000 Rand. Thank you. Lot 149. A wonderful sculpture this by Lucas Sartori, entitled Tired Snake Dancer. It's directly at the back of the room. It's a 1965 sculpture made out of Rhodesian teak. R120,000 is bid at 120, 130,000, 140 sir, 150 against you. 160 is your bid. Straight ahead, gentlemen seated at 160,000 Rand. Any more for this Sartori at 160,000 Rand? What? 170. 170 is the bid with Marlies. Okay, 170. Raf, would you like 180? 180,000. 190,000. 200,000. At 200,000 is your bid. Is there not a phone 221 missing? Okay. So I have 200,000 with Raf. Sure, I nearly spent 20 grand for you there, Raf. 220 new bidder. It's against you, Raf, at 220,000. 240,000. 260,000. 280,000. At 280,000 Rand, and on the telephone with Raphael at 280,000 Rand, it's against you seated. It's your bid at 280. On the telephone then with Raf at 280,000 Rand. All done, selling against you, sir, at 280. All done for the lovely Sartori at 280,000 Rand. Thank you. Your number, Raf, is 239. Thank you. 239. Lot 150, Eduardo Villa, head from 1966. The enormous steel sculpture at the back of the room there. It's a brilliant example of Villa's Africanized avant-gardism from the very center of the hugely influential Amadlozi period. It's great work, this. I'm going to open the bidding here at 300,000 Rand, 320,000, 350, then against you at 350,000, 380,000. At 380,000 Rand. Then. Any more for the head at 400,000. At 400,000 Rand. Then. Any more at 400,000 Rand? 420,000. 450,000. 480,000. 500,000.
Against us is 500. 550. 530.
Well, you can have 520 then. So the maths is easier for me. 520, so 550, 550.
550 against us. If we do 580, sir.
580,000.
80 with us.
600,000.
It's against us at 600.
620 may I have?
620, sir. 620.
620.
Okay, we've got that.
On the telephone then at 620,000 rand. All done then at 620. Selling on the telephone with Mary Jane against you all seated at 620,000 rand. All done. Last call at 620,000. 210. Got 151, the list of our Kenneth buckets, it's on the wall there. The large work entitled Geostructure number 32 from 1969. And 35,000 rand is bid. At 35,000, 38,000 rand is bid.
It's the wrong image.
Sorry, technical glitch number 2. My humble apologies. You're bidding on the grey work, the one that comes first in the catalogue. So it's the beige work. It's not the Perspex relief. It is the one called Relief Construction number 27. It's the beige work in the corner next to the Sam Shlengeta.
It's Geostructure 151.
Okay, are you two agreed?
Geostructure number 32.
Thank you. Geostructure number 32.
Not 151.
Got it. So we're all on the same page now. We're bidding on the beige work. Thank you, Lorna. Thank you, Emma. Greatly appreciated. I'm going to open the bidding here at 38,000 rand. 38 is bid. At 38.40, sir. I have 42 against you. 45 is yours. 45, sir. 48. 48,000. 50,000. At 50,000 rand, then far back left, that's against 55,000. Gentlemen seated straight ahead, far back at 55,000, 60,000. At 60,000 rand, then far back left at 60,000 rand. All done for the Kenneth bucket at 60,000 rand. Far back left of the room against you on the aisle, selling them. It's your bid, sir, at 60,000. Number 13 at 60,000. Thank you. Okay, lot 152. This is the Perspex relief work entitled Relief Construction number 27. And again, 38,000 rand is bid at 38, 40,000 rand. But 42 against you. At 42,000 rand then, any more for the bucket at 42,000. All done then at 42,000 rand. No more for the Kenneth bucket at 42,000 rand. All done at 42, so I can't tempt you for 45. 45? No, not for you. All done then at 42,000 rand. Not for you at 45. All done, last call at 42,000 rand. No more for the Kenneth bucket at 42,000 rand. All done at 42,000. Thank you, number 116. Lot 153 is the exquisite work by Doreen Southwood, the dancer, which are the 4 suspended figures in the corridor on my right. Please note there's a sale room notice. This work is from 2007. And 180,000 rand is bid. 180,000, 190,000 rand then. At 190,000 rand, at 190 at, whoops. £40,000. At 240,000 rand then. All done for the Doreen at 40,000 rand. May I have 260? 260,000 rand. On the telephone then with James at 260,000 rand. Selling then at 260,000. Any more for the Doreen Southwood, the 4 dancers at 260,000 rand. Selling then on my left on the telephone at 260,000 rand. All done for the lovely Doreens at 260,000. No more at 260,000. 217. Lot 154, Pascal Martin Taillou. 2 works from Das Kapital. It's the 2 pictures behind where Mary Jane and James are seated from 1995. There are 2 works in this lot. Our apologies, the artist's name was spelled incorrectly in the catalogue. Pascal has an E at the end and Martin has a TH in the middle. Whoops. I'm going to open this lot then at 35,000 rand. 35,000 rand is bid. At 35,000, 38,000, at 40,000 rand, at 42,000 rand, 45,000, 5,000 rand, then 48,000. At 48,000 rand, any more for the juice then at 48,000 rand? Apologies, 50,000 rand. To my right then at 50,000 rand, any more then at 50,000, 55,000. To my left, 60,000. Against you later at 60, I'm looking for 65. 65,000. 70,000. 75,000. 80,000. 85,000. 90,000. You may have 95.
Would you like 95? Sorry.
95,000. 100,000. 110 is your bid? 110,000. 120 against you. 130? No. 120. To my right then at 120. Last call then for the 2 works by Pascal Martin Taillou at 120,000 rand. Selling then to my right against your seated at 120,000. Leila, you are selling then at 120,000 rand. Thank you, number 30. Right. Lot 155. Our cover lot, the work that has lived in my office since the day it came into our offices, and I'm going to be devastated to say goodbye to it. Please note, the title should in fact read Matsi. It's signed and dated 2012 and inscribed the title on the reverse, just hidden by the frame. And Matsi is the name of Moshekwa's niece, after whom this was made. Moshekwa has enjoyed a highly successful career abroad, and it's been a great pleasure to handle this work which is behind me and to be selling it here in Johannesburg. I'm going to open the bidding here at 150,000. 150,000 rand is bid. At 150, 160,000 is bid. At 170,000, then against you, 180,000. At 180, 190,000 rand. At 190,000 rand, any more than at 200,000 rand. At 200,000 rand, then straight ahead of me at 200,000 rand. Any more for the Moshekwa? It's your bid, ma'am, at 200,000 rand. I'm looking for 220, please. 220,000 rand. And 40,000 rand. 30,000 rand. So on the phone at 260, ma'am, 280,000 rand. On the aisle, straight ahead of me then, ladies bid at 280,000 rand, then selling against you all on the phones at 280,000 rand. That's your bid, ma'am, at 280. No more than for the Moshekwa, number 60. Lot 156, Kendall Gears, Order, Order, from the Terroria Listeners series. It's a work from 2003. And 75,000 Rand is bid. At 75, 80,000 Rand then. At 80,000 Rand. At 80, 85,000 Rand. Sorry. At 85,000 Rand then I have at 85,000 Rand. Any more? At 85, 90,000 Rand. At 95,000 Rand. 100,000 Rand. 10,000, 120,000. 130,000. On the telephone with MJ at 130,000 Rand, any more than at 140,000 Rand. 150,000. One more, sir. On the telephone then with MJ at 150,000 Rand, selling then on the phone against CC at 100, then for the Kendall Gears at 150,000. 160,000. 170,000. At 170,000. At 170,000 Rand, then selling on the telephones at 170,000. Last call for the Kendall Gears at 170,000. No more then against you at the back at 170,000 Rand, selling on the phones to my left at 170,000. Thank you. Your number is 261.
It went down 170.
Lot 157 sadly has been withdrawn. The seller could not live without it. Sorry, lot 158 is the William Kentridge. The theodolite drawing Lovers in a Pond. It's the final scene from the very important film Felix in Exile. A very celebrated film, and it is also remarkable in that the work has less erasure and overdrawing than most of the drawings that emerge from this series. I'm going to open the bidding here at 600,000 Rand. At 650 then, 700,000. At 700,000 Rand, 750,000. At 750,000 Rand. Kentridge at 750,000 Rand. No more at 750,000 Rand. All done for the William Kentridge at 750,000 Rand. No more for the theodolite drawing at 750,000. 750,000. No more at 750,000 Rand. All done at 750,000. No more at 750. Thank you. Number 104. Lot 159, the Marina Abramovic. It's a work entitled Golden Mask from 2009. It's been extremely exciting to handle this work by one of the most prominent living female artists. Opening the bidding here at 950,000 Rand, at 950,000, at 1 million, at 1 million, at 1.1 million then, at 1.1 million Rand, 1.1 million Rand, and any more, 1.2 million Rand then. Any more for the Marina Abramovic at 1.2 million Rand. No more then, at 1.2 million Rand. All done at 1.2 million Rand. No more at 1.2 million Rand. All done at 1.2 million. Last call then for the Marina at 1.2 million Rand. All done at 1.2. Thank you, number 12. Lot 160 is the Callum Innes, C1/2/14 from the Black Lamb series. It's a painting from 2014, an oil on canvas from one of Britain's foremost living abstract painters, who was also a runner-up for the Turner Prize. Opening the bidding here at 300,000. 300,000 rand is bid. At 300, 320,000. At 320,000, 350,000. At 350, 380,000 rand. At 380,000 rand. Any more? At 380,000 rand. No more for the Callum Innes at 380,000 rand. All done. Last call for the Callum Innes at 380,000 rand. All done then at 380,000. No more at 380. Number 52. Lot 161 also has been withdrawn. Lot 162 is the Louis van Heerden, The Restoration of a Vanished Time, a triptych. And 75,000 rand is bid. At 75,000. 75,000, 80,000 rand. At 80,000, 85,000 rand. At 85,000 rand, then any more for the Van Heerden at 85,000 rand. All done then for the Louis van Heerden at 85,000 rand. No more than at 85,000. Thank you, 108. Lot 163 is the Joachim Schoenfeld, the surgeon, the sculptor that is directly behind me in the center of the room, in the cavity by the window. 80,000 rand. At 80,000. At 80,000, 80 is bid. 85,000 rand. 90,000, 95,000 rand. At 95,000, 100,000 rand. 110,000. At 110,000 rand. Any more for the Schoenfeld at 110,000 rand. All done for the Joachim Schoenfeld at 110,000 rand. No more at 110,000 rand. 110,000 rand. Last call at 110. Thank you, number 185. Is the Norman Catherine speaker, the sculpture to my right, also at the back of the room, a work made between 1988 and 1996. 75,000 rand. 75 is bid. 80,000 at 85,000 then. Against you at 85,000 rand. Any more at 85,000 rand? All done at 85,000 rand. Last call for the speaker at 85,000 rand. No more than at 85,000. Thank you. Number 108. Lot 165 is the Alfred Torba. It's on the wall to my left, down that corridor. Bishop of ZCC with Hands of Deaf People. And 65,000 rand is bid. 65. 70,000 rand. 70,000 is bid. 75,000 rand. At 75,000 rand then. Any more for the Torba at 75,000 rand? No more than at 75,000 rand. May I have 80? 80,000 rand. On the telephone against you seated at 80,000 rand. May I have 85? On the telephone with Mary Jane then at 80,000 rand. That's against you seated, selling on the telephones at 80,000 rand. All done for the Alfred Torba at 80,000 rand. No more at 80,000 rand. Thank you. Number 208. Lot 166. It's the substantial Diane Victor behind Raf and Josh to my left. It's entitled, well, it's untitled, but it's from the Theatrical Characters series. A large charcoal and pastel drawing. And 120,000 rand is bid. At 120, 130,000, that's 140,000. 140,000 rand. Any more at 140,000? You look like you're tempted, sir. At 140, 150,000. 150,000 rand, then to my right at 150,000, 160,000 against you, sir. 170,000, 180,000. 190, no. 180. Ladies bid to my right then at 180,000, that's against you seated. The bid is 280,000 rand. Any more for the enormous Diane Victor at 180,000 rand. All done. It's against you, sir, at 180. Selling then to my right. Last call at 180. One more. Done. 180,000 rand it is then to my right. Thank you, ma'am. Your number is 25. Thank you. Lot 167 is the Deborah Bell. It's a work entitled Museum Solstice. It's from the Alchemical Suite. Unique work this, and 95,000 is bid at 95,000. 100,000 at 100,000. 110,000 at 110,000. Any more at 110,000? Any more for the Deborah Bell at 110,000 rand? No more then at 110,000 rand. All then, last call then for the Deborah Bell at 110,000 rand. No more then at 110. Thank you, number 185. Lot 168 is the Robert Hodgins entitled Excellence. It's from 1998. It's at the back of the room in the cavity over there. It's the hand-painted and glazed, hand-painted glass and glazed ceramic tiles. And 95,000, 95, 95, 95 is a bid. Thank you. 100 then against you. At 100,000, 110,000 rand. At 110,000 rand. Any more then for the Hodgins at 110? No telephone? At 110,000 rand, and all done for the Robert Hodgins at 110,000 rand. No more? At 110,000 rand. All done then at 110,000 rand. Thanks. 116. Lot 169 is the William Kentridge. 5 works in this lot from the Industry and Idleness series. 150,000 at 150,000 at 160,000, 170,000 then at 170,000 rand. Any more at 170,000 rand. All done then at 170,000 rand. The 5 prints at 170,000 rand. All done then at 170,000 rand. No more at 170. Number 12. Lot 170 then is the Gabriel Goliath, the work entitled Berenice from 2010. There are 11 works in total in this lot. 40,000 rand. 40,000 rand is bid. 42,000 rand then. Against you at 42. 45,000. Then 48,000. At 48,000 rand. Any more for the Gabriel Goliath? At 48,000. All done then at 48,000 rand. No more at 48,000. All done. All done at 48,000 rand. No more for the Gabriel Goliath at 48,000 rand. Last call then at 48,000 rand. 52. $171 is the Eduardo Villa to my right, entitled Fortress. It's the bronze, unique bronze work from 1990 on the plinth to my right by the television. And 95,000 rand is bid. 95. So at 100, sir, 110 against you. 120. It's straight ahead of me at 120,000 rand. Any more for the villa at 120? I'm looking for 130, please. 130, 140, 150, 160. 160 straight ahead of me then, selling ahead of me in the room at 160,000 rand against you on the telephones, all done at 160,000. Number 43. Lot 172 is the large William Kentridge lino cut entitled 8 Figures. It's down the corridor to my right. It's a superb large-scale lino cut, and unusual in that it's one of the last liners that William actually carved himself. It's a wonderful work, this, and 380,000 rand is bid. At 380,000, 400,000 rand. At 400,000 rand, 420,000. At 420,000 rand, all done then on my left at 420,000 rand. Any more for the 8 figures at 420,000 rand, all done at 420,000 rand. Far left, no more at 420,000 rand. Thank you, number 185. Okay, lot 173. Guy Tillum. 10 portraits from the My Militia series from 2006, all photographed in 2002. 10 works altogether in this lot, and I'm going to open the bidding at 150,000. At 150, 160,000 then. At 160,000, 170,000. At 170,000 rand. Any more then at 170,000. Looking for 180, please. At 180,000. 190,000. 200,000. 220, please. 220,000. 40,000. 260, 260. 280,000.
Yes.
They're probably watching Game of Thrones now. That's the problem. 280. I have 280. 300. 320, please. 320. Make it 340. 340. 360. 380. 400. 400. 420. 440. Okay, so I have the bid at 420 with Mary Jane. Are you out at 440? Your bid would be 440. Okay, Mary Jane's bid at 420,000. I'm selling that on the telephone at 420. 261. 261, hey, MJ. You're 261, not 221. 261. Okay, thanks. Thank you. Right, lot 174, Peter Hichu, John Kwesi, the wild honey collector. A lovely color print from 2005. 75,000 rand is bid. At 75,000, 80,000 rand is bid. At 85,000 rand. At 85,000 rand. Any more for the Peter Hugo? At 85,000 rand. Large print in full color at 85,000 rand. Okay, can I have a minute?
It's at 85 against us. We need to put 90.
I have 85, I'm looking for 90.
It's in the room against you. Are you bidding, yes or no?
No. At 85,000 rand then. All done for the Peter Hugo at 85,000 rand. No more at 85,000 rand. All done at 85. Last call at 85,000. Thank you. 153. All right, lot 175 is the large Norman Catherine. It's entitled Eye to Eye 1. It's a tufted wool carpet. 75,000 rand is bid. At 75,000. 80,000. At 85,000. At 85,000 then. At 85,000. Any more for the Norman Catherine? At 85,000 rand. All done then at 85. Thank you. Number 104. Lot 176 is the lovely lot with 4 Walter Altman drawings of baskets 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 35,000 rand is bid. 35,000, 38,000 rand. At 38,000, 40,000 rand. At 42,000 then, 45,000. At 45,000, 48,000. At 48,000 rand. Any more for the Walter Altmans? 50,000 rand. At 50,000 rand and on 55,000 new bidder. 60,000. 65,000. 70,000. 75,000. 85,000. 90,000. 95,000. 100,000. 110,000. 110,000 to my right. Gentleman's bid against you, ma'am, at 110,000 rand. Selling then to my right, your bid, sir, at 110. That's against you. Selling on my side, on my right, at 110. Number 19. Lot 177 is our first Keith Alexander. A large work, this one, Skeleton Coast, Namibia, from 1984. And 280,000 is bid. At 280,000, 300,000. At 300,000, 320,000. At 320,000, any more? At 320,000 rand. Keith Alexander at 320,000 rand. No more at 320,000 rand. All done at 320,000 rand. Number 116. Lot 178, our second Keith Alexander, this one Garub Station, a work from 1981, and 100,000 rand is bid. 100,000 rand. At 110,000. 120, sir, I have 130 against you. 5 against you, you may have 150. 150 is your bid. To my left then, gentleman's bid at 150,000 rand. Selling then, center left at 150. All done then, for the Keith Alexander, your bid, sir, at 150,000. Thank you, number 45. Lot 179 now, our first Adrian Borsov of the evening session. This work is entitled Lovers. This is a large work, oil on canvas, laid down on board, and 100 170,000 is bid. 170,000. 180, ma'am. 190 against you. 200,000 rand. Straight ahead, lady seated at 200,000 rand. Any more than at 200,000? I'm looking for 220, please. 220. Emma was first. Sorry, it's like 240,000. Looking for 260. 260 with Emma. Okay, Emma's bid at 260. I'm looking for 280. 280, Raf.
It doesn't look like.
280. 300,000. 320,000. 310,000. 320,000. Can do 330 if you like. 330. Yeah, 340 Emma is fine. 340,000. 350,000. 360,000. 370,000. 370 with Raf. On the telephone then with Raphael at 370, that's against you in the room, against other telephone bidders, it's your bid, Raf, at 370, against you seated, selling then at 370. Your number please, Raf? 220. Sorry, did you say 220? Sorry, yes, it's getting late. Lot 180. Adrian Bosov. Without them, what will little boys do? 220,000 rand, 220, 240,000 rand, 260,000 rand, 280,000 rand, at 280,000 rand. Any more than at 280,000 rand? Looking for 300,000 rand with Marilise. At 300,000 rand, Emma, may I have 320? 320,000 with Emma. Emma's bid then on the telephone at 320, you're not in on this. Selling then at 320,000 rand on the telephone with Emma against you all seated, all done at 320,000 rand. 200. Lot 181 is our Simon Stone, entitled Standing on a Chair. A large painting, and 45,000 is bid. At 45,000, 48,000 rand, 50,000. At 50,000 rand. Any more than? At 50,000 rand, the lovely Simon Stone at 50,000 rand, no more at 50,000 rand, 55,000 rand, ladies bid to my left. Selling then at 55,000 rand, all done then for the Simon Stone at 55,000 rand, no more, that's your bid, ma'am, at 55,000 rand. All done at 55,000. Thank you. Number 44. Lot number 182 is Stephen Conroy, a lovely painting of a man in a chair from 1996, and 75,000 is bid, 80,000 is bid. at 80,000, 85,000 rand. At 85,000 rand. Any more then for the Stephen Conroy at 85? Layla is at 90. 90 I have. On my left then, at 90,000 rand, selling with Layla at 95,000 rand. All done then for the Stephen Conroy, the man in the chair, at 90,000 rand, selling then on the telephone against you all seated at 90,000 rand. 262. Onto our penultimate lot for the sale. It's the Russell Young Marilyn Crying, the Liquid Golden Black, from 2014. 85,000 rand is it. 90,000 rand. At 90,000 rand, 95 against you. At 95,000 rand then. Any more at 95,000? To my right, at 95. MJ, are you waiting for a call? Okay, so then at 95,000, no more than for the Russell Young Marilyn Crying at 95,000 rand. All done. Last call, fair warning at 95,000 rand. It's number 12. And finally, Pablo Picasso. Once again, forgive my pronunciation. Courtesan Alit avec un visiteur. It's the picture on the screen over there. It's from 1968. It was printed in 1969. 75,000 rand is it. At 75,000 rand. 80,000 rand. 85,000 rand against you. At 85,000 rand, then any more for the Picasso? At 80, 90, sir, 95 against you, but one more will do it. May I have 100? 100,000 is your bid. Seated at 100,000 rand. All done then for the Pablo Picasso at 100,000 rand. That's your bid, sir. Number 42. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your support. It was a great pleasure to be your auctioneer, and we'll see you again in September.